All right.
Okay. Well, let me start better than with an Hey, hello. My name is Jeremy, and I'm with Scott, my partner. And if Warren, my other partner, was alive today, he'd love to be here and see how much fun we're having.
Okay, just he's alive. He just he couldn't come in today.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And we're going to meet a very special guest, someone I'm excited to unpack, if you will. We have just a little bit of housekeeping, Jade. So just hold out for just a second. This is our 31st episode,
I think it'll be 35.
35th
Wow. Really?
episode of us doing this. This is on the Mama Tried Flat Out Friday medium on YouTube, Apple, Spotify,
Everywhere.
all of them. Thems. So
all
please
of them.
comment, like, subscribe. We're going to have a discussion here. We'd also like to have a discussion with you as well. That happens by propagating what we're doing and what we're putting out there.
35 is Dave Kilkenny's number.
Oh, Charlotte Kane's number.
Charlotte Kane's number.
Scott, where's your head at? I haven't seen you in a while.
I haven't seen you in a while either.
Where you been?
I went to well, how long has it been since I
2 weeks.
have we seen each other since we got back from Brazil?
We took a sauna together
Okay.
with my son
Okay.
in your house, which is what we do on Sundays.
Yeah. But we didn't do it last Sunday. I was in New York. I went to go buy a motorcycle, and I'm very excited about it.
What kind of motorcycle?
I bought a chopper
Oh, that's weird.
from from Cicero, from Godspeed. I haven't posted about it yet because I'm all right. Social media, I have I love it, but I also don't like posting a ton of stuff about my life because I don't know. I like to keep some things private. Even though this thing, I'm super very proud of it. I bought this bike that I've been a huge fan of since the first time I saw it. Probably, God, almost 10 years ago. Cicero was the photographer for the very first Mom Tried show that we had in Milwaukee, so that would be 10 years ago. And he's been a good friend. Just great photographer, great dude. And he has this motorcycle that he's had forever. It was his daily driver, and when he lived in Brooklyn, now he and his wife Katie have a daughter. She's beautiful. I went to go visit them, stayed at their house, had just like the most wonderful time hanging out with them. But they live out of the city now, and I think he's ready to move on to something else. So anyway, I'm the new custodian for this bike. Do you know which one I'm talking about, Brian? With the Kennedy rocker boxes on it, and it's got a REV frame, single down tube loop frame. So it's so bitchin'. So I'm just like, I'm super excited, and I want to post about it, but I'm kind of like,
Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to keep this a secret. I don't know how long you think you're going to keep this a secret.
it's not even like I want to keep it a secret. I just don't know how to talk about it because I'm like a little kid who bought myself the greatest Christmas present that one could ever have, and I don't know how to talk about it. So I'm talking about it now.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Scott. I don't have a motorcycle just yet either, which would be a theme for today.
You do have a motorcycle. Your son is
Yeah,
riding it.
Yeah, and I just
Quite
got
a
my
bit.
other one back from a Brazilian that drove it to Sturgis. I have the Jeremy Proc's motorcycle rental service. It's free.
It's a free lease.
Free service.
Yeah, no deposit required.
I just have one little bit of housekeeping during this introductory part. Scott, I want to get a hold of something or maybe a little bit of rumors on social media. And it's not a big deal. This is not nothing ground shaking, nothing major. But why are we not doing any events during the Harley 120th? Why are we not doing hooligan events? Why are we not having more of a presence? I have my answer. What's your answer to that?
Well, I mean, I feel like we've discussed this at length amongst ourselves, but also with HD, with the museum. I think because we are Milwaukee folks and we are hosting, as it were, our town, even though we're not Harley Davidson, it's their event, but we're kind of our Chopper World hosts in this town, so we're gonna let other people kind of shine. We already have this. This is our home. This is what we're here all the time. We're gonna have our friends and partners come in and do stuff. So, Choppers Mag, Born Free, Congregation Show.
We're facilitating them.
We're
Actually,
gonna.
that makes it sound like we're letting them. We're not. We're helping them.
No, yeah, we're clearing the stage and putting a spotlight on them and then bring there. We want to be good hosts, right? We're not here to hog the spotlight. We want to be good hosts. We want to take people around to cool events, show everyone our town, be available to just do stuff, ride around. And we just in the past have not really been able to do that. So that's my long answer.
I think that's exactly what I had in my notes. Was it 2018 when the Harley 115th? I ran myself ragged. We did an indoor event. The next day we did that event or assisted with that event on the beach. And all of my friends came in, stayed at my house, and I don't remember talking to them or hanging out with having many good times. I'm looking forward to enjoying myself during the Harley 120th.
Yes.
Also, anybody that would suggest that we do something, I don't think has ever tried to promote an event, because in an event where there are many things going on, that's not a reason. Because many people are coming to town. There are many things going on. For us to throw another event in that pool,
in that mix,
puts us at a financial risk that I don't want to take anymore.
No.
So. Scott, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength when talking about where our heads are at. Hey, Jade, thanks for waiting for our housekeeping. Thanks for being patient. Jade Green.
No. Well, Jade is my biker name.
Yes.
Yeah. Facebook required at some point that you have like a last name.
Got it.
But
you don't have a biker last name?
No. It's just Jade.
It's just Jade.
Just Jade.
Okay. Jade Simpson?
Well, you could do that, I guess, yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
As a promoter, you understand these sort of things. Like you understand because Jade is also a promoter. She's a motorcycle event promoter like we are. And so you understand you have a big event coming up. So it's like you understand the tension,
oh, yes.
the stress, putting it all on the line to try to get your event to get the word out, to get people to attend. It's a hustle.
It's a lot to make it all happen. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your event? And I know what your event is. Jeremy knows. We've been going to it for years, and we really really like it a lot. And Biker Fest is a great time, and I think it's growing every year. It's a great vibe.
Yeah.
But how would you describe it?
Well, I like to describe it as like an introduction into the motorcycle, I guess, industry and culture, because it has like a little bit of everything there. So if you've never experienced motorcycles and you're just interested in learning to ride, or you have a little experience and you want to get into like the bike races or stunt riding or flat tracking or anything like that, you can learn about those things at Biker Fest.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
So an intro to non-bikers. Is that what you're trying to say? Is that like it's an introduction to motorcycling
for non-motorcyclists?
Yeah, in essence, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But also a party for motorcycle people.
Yeah, absolutely. It don't get started until the motorcycles show up. So yeah.
So why? Well, let me back up. Let me set a philosophical framework for this, if you will, or why I thought it would be important that you come to our event or come to our podcast, if you will, to unpack a little bit about who you are, because I think if people knew more about you, knew more about what's behind Biker Fest, I find it to be more intriguing. I find you to be intriguing, therefore the Biker Fest would be intriguing.
Agreed.
There's many motorcycle events that one could go to, and I choose to go to them for the essence of what they are.
Okay.
If I were to go to the one show in Portland, I go there to see, I think, the cutting edge culture. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Just in a nutshell,
West
if
Coast,
you will,
West Coast, non-chopper necessarily culture, like a little bit more
industry.
of a mix.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I were to go to California and see the Born Free, I see the sexiness of the chopper culture and the best of the chopper. And then if you come see Mama Tried, you see your uncle's dirty fingernails, more of an antique style of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Race bikes.
Yeah,
party,
everyone has
indoor party.
Yeah.
Yes. When I go to a corporate event at Harley Davidson dealer X, it's pretty watered down and there's no soul or love. I want you to express the soul and the love that you have for your event, and just be clear about the brand, your brand, and the flag you carry. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or am I getting too philosophical?
It makes sense. Well, our mission is to revive the motorcycle industry by making it a more inclusive culture. What we see is a lot of times, or the higher I climb in the motorcycle industry, it lacks people of color. And I just think that when you make things more inclusive of other people, you get to experience the creativity and the benefits that you have from dealing with other people. There's a lot to learn from other cultures and people coming up from different backgrounds and things like that. So I think that that inclusion will make a lot of difference. But a lot of people of color don't necessarily have access to like extreme sport style things like flat tracking, or motocross or supercross. When I go out to these places, I don't necessarily see people that look like me. So and it's because like there's no access. Before you invited me out there, I probably never would have come, on my own.
And that was the thing after meeting you, how I was so unaware of how, I mean, everyone knows that Milwaukee is a pretty segregated city, but how the segregation of the motorcycle community is even deeper and wider, I feel like. Yeah. I mean, I had no idea the depth of the people of color motorcycle community that was out there. It's massive.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never seen it before. And actually, and it's a really good time. It's a great scene.
The merging of people and just seeing people come together and they're talking, and I mean, and just bikers in general get that bad reputation and everybody thinks they're thugs and all of that. So I like the idea of, just the overall community coming out and meeting the biker community and seeing like, okay, well, they're just regular folk.
Yeah. Like to have a good time.
They like to have a good time. They just they choose a different mode of transportation, and that's it. You know what I mean?
So I just want to be clear. You have kind of two hallmarks or two philosophies: introducing the industry to the people of color, or getting people of color more involved in the industry.
Yeah,
it's kind of one and the same. And then also introducing motorcycling to normal folks.
Yeah.
Yep. And it makes sense to me. I just want to verbalize it. Am I making sense? Does this make sense? Checks out.
Yeah, and so that's why we include that safety element too, because that's also important when introducing people into something, because a lot of people will learn on YouTube and just kind of hop out there on the street, and that's dangerous. Yeah.
So first off, I want to hallmark the fact that the quotes you just said. Had we ever discussed this? Because it's almost like we've already said these things.
What do you mean?
Like how exciting it is to have a diverse motorcycle community.
Yeah.
How that excites us when we go to events and we see all dudes, all white folks, all heavy metal. It gets to be boring.
Yeah. Well, and that's how it used to be. And then I don't know when did it really start? 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when just a lot more females are entering the scene. Yeah. And that was super cool too. And I didn't realize how much I enjoyed that until I started realizing that the parties were so much more fun. It's not just a bunch of dudes standing around. Yeah. And then we went to a couple of your events and see that world, and visited a couple different kinds of bars, and and it's a great scene. Yeah. It's a super, super great scene.
Yeah. On the I don't want to say the black motorcycle scene, but I will say that it feels a little bit more inclusive. But sometimes when we go to other areas, it doesn't feel that way.
Right.
And so it tends to be kind of tight knit.
If you were gonna, if you could explain to the listeners out there, like how would you describe like the black motorcycle community in Milwaukee? Like, I know it's a very diverse world. There's a lot of clubs, right? Yeah. And the clubs are very, they're not 1% clubs necessarily.
No.
They're all, a lot of them are not, it doesn't matter what you ride, right? It's not specific to like to metric
Most of them are,
or
yeah, not specific to what you ride.
American.
Yeah, some clubs will have a theme that they only ride a specific style bike. But MCs and MSCs, which is Motorsport Club, they typically ride, whatever sports bike or Harley Davidson or something like that.
Because like when, okay, for example, I think the first time that we went to the first Biker Fest, there was a ride that was out of Milwaukee Cycle Salvage.
Okay, yeah,
So I pulled up and there was like a lot of people with vests on,
yeah,
but like they didn't have, but it wasn't just Harleys. It wasn't just sport bikes. It was
yeah,
like lots of different. It wasn't just black people. It wasn't just white people.
yeah.
It
So
was like
there's no
it was male,
yeah,
female,
there's no color
Latino.
code or anything like that. So
Yeah.
motorcycle clubs are like what they consider 99% clubs. So that it is male, female. Some clubs aren't. Some clubs are just male. I was in a club for a couple of years. Now they're all male.
Okay.
But they may have like an SC, which is a social club.
Okay.
So that social club is all women.
Okay.
So you'd have that. You wouldn't typically see guys in a social club, but
Okay.
I've seen that.
Okay.
It's a rarity, but it happens, I guess.
Okay.
Um,
And that's like a support club for the
for the motorcycle club.
All
Yeah.
right.
So it's like their sister club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think this is fascinating. I could listen to this all day of the nuances, the unwritten nuances of how this world works together. Because I go in, hey, my name's Jeremy, and I got these big buck teeth. And I'm, how you doing? And I'm stomping on all of the nuances within the room. So I appreciate to listen to you say this. But I'm only reason why I'm interjecting here is I think your question is maybe difficult for Jade to answer because it's like describing like what a strawberry tastes like.
Right.
Because she's only tasted strawberries, and you think strawberries are weird, but she's only knows them to taste. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You're almost saying like, hey, this is odd to me, where it's her normal world.
Exactly.
And I only think this highlights yet the similarities in the vocabulary that we use of being bikers is the same, but yet we're so far.
Yeah.
Does this make sense? We're so
like our events are just so like when I say our events, I don't mean like your event, our event. I'm saying like motorcycle events in southeastern Wisconsin are just so segregated. They're just there's never any participation, and I feel like Biker Fest is a good exception to that rule.
Yeah.
And that's why we like being there.
Yeah.
It's a good time. It's a good party.
I love the
and I want
convergence
more
of
that.
people. Like, I think that's the thing I liked about the motorcycle scene overall is just all of these different types of people.
Right.
We have this one thing in common. We have that. It's a certain level of respect I think comes with being a biker, and it's only understood by bikers. You know, and a lot of people don't understand that. They don't know that. So. I like that if people can come together, they have a good time, they don't know each other. I meet people, I find different music and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You never know what people are doing, what they do for a living.
Right.
Just talking to you guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've learned an awful lot. I've made some really great connections. I've done some really cool things. I learned how to flat track, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I love about the motorcycle, like people.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know this. Maybe we didn't tell you this. This podcast is not about motorcycles. It's about motorcycle people. Maybe we should have been. Maybe I should have sang my theme song before we started it. If you can edit that in here. Hold on to that. I think that's a pretty heavy. We front loaded this with a heavy topic.
It's true. We dove
We
right
dove
into
way deep. Let's pause this a little bit and unpack you, like I was saying. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Milwaukee.
Okay. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Metropolitan High School.
Metro High School.
Yeah, I went to Metro.
When did you? I don't want to ask when you graduated, but I'm gonna make a bold statement.
I'm old.
I applied to work there. Probably would have potentially been your teacher, but I didn't get hired.
Oh wow.
But I had a terrible interview, and I remember it.
Really?
I did.
Why was it bad?
He's like, why? How can you? I was 25 years old, just out of college. I don't know. The question was like, how are you different? How are you going to make a difference? And I said, because I'm young and hip. And he was like, I said that. Basically, I said that. And he was like, oh, God. Okay, this interview's not about me. It's about you. And you grew up in the north central Milwaukee? Or you grew up in that
north
neighborhood
side
there?
of Milwaukee, yeah.
And you were always mechanically. You were always into motorcycles. How you know?
No, actually, I did not like motorcycles at all. I thought they were dangerous, unpredictable. No, I did not like motorcycles. I was scared of them, actually.
Had you seen them around, or you just
Yeah,
didn't
you
know
see them
about them?
around, but
They just
I
freaked
never
you
had
out.
an interest in riding them. I didn't like people who rode around me in traffic. All of that, yeah, no. I had no desire at all.
And so when did that change?
Yeah.
I had some friends from like high school. We'd like run into each other, start hanging out, and he was in a motorcycle club, and he started taking me to different events or whatever. It looked interesting. I considered it, but then I just didn't do it. And then my boyfriend at the time brought a bike home one day, and he's like, I'm in a motorcycle club. And I'm like, when do we
Wait, so-
ride? You know what I mean? Like, since when? And so, like, he took me to a parking lot. He showed me how to, get on, start the bike. And so I'm going around in a circle. And I'm like, yeah, this is fun. But, like, how do you stop? He was like, oh, yeah. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
right, so
Put
I
your
figured
feet down.
that- right, yeah. Well, I remember he said your clutch is your life and death. So I'm, like, clutching. And I'm like, and then I break. And he's like, did you clutch first? I said, yeah. He's like, okay. I'm like, Lord.
All right. Well, it's traumatic that's for sure. It's traumatic for everyone.
Yeah,
So
but I had a good time, and I
You
think
didn't
your
crash?
first time met. No, I did not. Not my first time. Like
Right.
probably my second time. I just laid it down really slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not bad. That's better than
No,
hindsight,
I was
yeah.
falling, and I'm like, help, because it was heavy, and he's just sitting there like, I'm like, help me, and it's just falling like you see me, But that was fun, and I had a good time. And then after that, he took me out again. And he said if I go around 3 times and I get the friction zone, I catch that, and I don't miss, he's like, I'll buy you a bike.
Okay.
And so he did. He kept his promise, bought me a bike.
Wait, what kind of bike did you learn on?
It was a Ninja. It was what?
Like this right here?
Like a 600?
No, it wasn't like that. It was uglier. It was far uglier. It was
Uglier.
very tight. Yeah. I don't like Ninjas. It was tall. I forgot what it was, but it was like we had made it a club bike.
Okay.
Kind of everybody learned on that bike, and so I learned, and then he bought me a Yamaha.
Nice.
Yeah.
A 600?
R6.
Yeah. Nice.
And you got a helmet and you were hitting the streets and going to
Yeah, we were
events.
hitting the streets. The day we got it, we had rode around and all of that on his bike, and then so he was like, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna go get my bike, and I'll be back. But he was scared. I was scared. So I was like, if I don't go by myself, he gonna terrify me, and I'm not gonna do it. So I took off, and then I got lost. But by the time I figured out where I was, I was okay, And so he called me. He's like, where are you? And I'm like, I don't know, but I got it.
All right.
Yeah, so I had, from then I've been riding.
All right. Yeah, that was like the training wheels were off.
Yeah, it was done.
That first ride is always like, I remember when I went to go get my first like adult. I
Yeah.
had like a bunch of mini bikes and dirt bikes when I was younger. And I had like a really crappy like Honda 350 when I was in college. But
Okay.
but a couple years later when I was adult, I went to go buy like my first like motorcycle. It was a GPZ 750, and I got a ride out. I saw it in the paper. This is how long it was ago. I saw it in the paper. I got a ride out there. Got dropped off. Paid the guy for it. Got on it, and
That's
then
the
just like
scariest thing,
yeah. And
though.
then but I hadn't at that point I hadn't probably ridden in 5 years, 10 years. So
And certainly not on the street, right?
no. And so and his house was in it was in East Troy or something. So I had to it was right by the freeway.
Okay.
So riding from his house and then getting on the freeway and getting into traffic, and I was like, what? But then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I
Like,
got
I got
this.
it,
I
yeah.
remember this. And then it's just been, but it's that first.
It was, yeah. And I got my first deuces from another biker. And so I'm dancing, and he's like, pay attention. I'm like, hey, look. I said, I'm a real rider now. He's like, he don't know that. I said, exactly. He didn't know. Yeah, that I was new.
Yeah, you looked like a real
I
rider.
look like a real biker. Yeah.
All right.
And you are a real biker. You're on a bike and it's standing up. You're out in first gear. You're a biker.
Yeah.
Bold
That's how I
statement.
felt anyway.
Before we get into a little bit more about motorcycles, let's pause a little bit. What kind of student were you at Metro? Metro, by the way, I know this. Scott, I don't know if you know this. Metro was like a small school. It was like this
Very
small school
small.
experiment. The idea was that schools were failing in the city, and let's make schools really small so that the idea was the teacher would eat lunch with you at a table. Was the idea like?
They
wow.
never ate lunch.
Okay,
with
but
us.
that was the philosophy.
But was it MPS school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of student were you?
I don't know. I don't know how to. I could say I was a bit of a class clown for a while, but I did my work. I did do that, and I skipped a lot.
Okay.
I'll be
Why'd you
honest.
skip?
Well, I had all my credits,
Okay.
except like 4. I didn't need to be there. I
All right, all
felt, so I wasn't.
Did you do any school after high school?
Yeah, I took up graphic design for a little while. But I was already like in the field doing it for so long, and I already had a client base and all of that, so I didn't finish.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's what you're still doing.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. Yeah,
And really good at it.
thank you.
of designing posters and
Everything.
things and
Oh,
screen
yeah.
printing
And apparel.
and that's something that should be highlighted. You are an entrepreneur. Is that
That
fair?
I am. Yes.
All right. Well, good job. All right. So you got this motorcycle with this dude. Is this dude still around? Like, you still talk to this dude?
We still talk. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So bridge that gap between your first ride or your first motorcycle to now wanting to educate and be an advocate in the motorcycle industry, right? What was the energy to put that, to get that going?
Okay.
We started this conversation by saying how hard it is and how stressful it is to do events. Why put yourself out there?
Well, initially, this was an idea I came up with. See, with motorcycle clubs, you usually get like an annual event that you do. And so I'm a big dreamer. And so instead of doing like a regular party like everybody else, because bikers kind of just stand around and they're kind of cliquey at parties. It's not really a party. They call it a dance, but nobody's dancing. So it's kind of like, to me, lame. The part I liked about the motorcycle club was the riding, not the club stuff. So the idea was to do something different, and I wanted to block off like 3rd Street, like where the 5 Points is, and do a biker fest.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the logo then, and I laid the idea out. I pitched it to my club, and I'm like, "This is great." They're like, "This is wonderful, but this is too much."
Too much
And they
what?
were like, "No," you know what I mean? 'Cause,
Like too complicated of a.
yeah, and I would always take over the events, and they'll be with me most of the time. But this one, they were like, "No, Jade," you know. So I was like, "I'm not scrapping it. I'm keeping it." And so once I left the club and all of that, I started looking into it. Like I said, going to these different places and doing different things in motorcycles. I started seeing certain things, and I'm like, that would be really cool to have, something like this in the, smack dab in the middle of Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you do it at 5 Points?
No. We had went through the whole process, filled out the application. We had done petitions all over the neighborhood. We had like over 1,000 petitions. Didn't do it. Yeah, and they got a little scared, which I understand because it was a big idea.
It's ambitious.
It is, but I just believe if you can see it, it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
What was the name of the club that you were in? Can
Pure
you talk
Platinum
about that?
MC.
All right.
Yeah. They're a national club, so they have. When I left, I think it was 43 chapters nationwide. So yeah, MCNSC.
Okay. All right. I appreciate the passion of this club of I know Pure Platinum.
Okay.
And I appreciate the passion, as well as, oh my God, what are the other ones? Scott, you know any?
Redliners.
Yeah, Redliners.
Okay, how about number one Stunners?
Yeah.
They have a car club too, though. They're more of an
They're
sports club?
MSC. Yeah, they're more
MSC.
MSC. Yeah.
See, I'm learning. I take notes.
A lot of people know Throttle Twisters, but is that still a club or is that just?
They're still a club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought the Throttle Twisters. Now, maybe I'm splitting a hair, and don't quote me on any of this. We're just having a free discsion. That the Wolfpack was the Throttle Twist was just a bar. The Wolfpack that's their clubhouse. Does that make sense, or am I wrong?
Okay. Yeah, some clubs have clubhouses and some don't, but like Throttle Twisters is a club,
Okay.
and then Twisters is it's a bar.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's not like their clubhouse.
Okay.
Because when we go there, I come in kicking the door in, stomping on things, not knowing the nuances of things like with coming in there with a camera, which was not a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we parked our bikes in the parking lot, which was reserved for club members only.
Okay,
Didn't
well, good job,
realize
Scott.
Yeah. Someone did say, "Go back there."
Yeah, go back. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. And then I didn't realize till later that we weren't supposed to be in there.
Well,
So they were very accommodating and very gracious.
yeah, they
and we
usually
had,
are.
we had a
don't
great
know,
time.
yeah.
We had a great time.
So let's zoom in a little bit more on Bikerfest then. We kind of got a little philosophy of what it is. Just tell us more specifics. Where is Bikerfest? Where is it currently?
Bikerfest is held at Fondy Farmers Market on 22nd, or not 22nd, 2200 West Fond du Lac Avenue.
Okay. So now many of our listeners don't know anything about Milwaukee. Set the landscape. What's going on in this space?
Well, we have you guys provide.
Well, hold on to what
Okay.
Bikerfest is. The address itself, I think, is also a little bit of a discussion.
Okay.
Where is this in the city? Fondy Market.
Oh, I like to say in the heart of the ghetto. That's what I.
Okay.
That's what I say. I mean, honestly, it is considered the poorest part of Milwaukee.
And bold statement statistically, I think it's actually in the top 10 for the poorest parts of the United States. Like it competes with Louisiana in this particular neighborhood zip code. So how is that a selling point?
It's not really a selling point. Actually, it makes it difficult to sometimes get the funding we need because we're in that space. Not that we're necessarily, I guess, advertising like to that market, but we are exposing them. You know what I mean? And I think that exposure is important.
I think it is too. I mean, it's kind of like you were talking before about your mission statement about like showing off the motorcycle world to non-motorcycle people. I see a lot of kids. They are walking around just going like, and you can just see it's the hooks are like slowly getting in them, and they're just like, oh, I'm doing that.
I'm doing that. Yeah. My favorite moment last year was a little boy, and he stared at this helmet all day, and we do scratch off, so he got a scratch off, and he won, and he got to pick the helmet, and I mean, it was just cool
That's
to see
awesome.
him smiling from ear to ear, and he hops on his bicycle, and he's like, this is mine, you know what I mean? I got my helmet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's going to ride when he gets older,
Yeah.
and that means something to me. That makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Do you remember when we saw last year probably 3 or 4 homemade frames?
Oh, yeah.
with a fake TV on the front?
Yeah.
Pull start gas powered motors.
Yeah.
And they weren't quite geometrically sound.
Yeah.
And the welds were, rough.
Yeah.
But the stoke.
The stoke was high. It was super high. That was I think that was one of the best boonie bike races that we've ever had.
Really?
Like, yeah, that was really,
Okay.
really fun.
That's cool.
That was super fun. We had such a great time there. And it was cool that all these bikes came out of the woodwork. So word is spreading.
Yeah, it
So,
definitely is. It is. I saw a kid. I went to hand him a flyer. He's like, "Yeah, Bikerfest, I'll be there."
He already knew about it.
Yeah,
dude.
he's on his mini bike. I'm like, "This is cool."
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Going back to the space, maybe I'm getting a little bit too deep here too. I don't want to go all in, but I enjoy, or I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable being in poor parts of the city because I know Milwaukee, but also I think I've learned how to talk to humans. So if you're coming from Waukesha, I don't think they have that skill set. No disrespect, wherever you come from, Brian. I'm sorry. Or any listeners. But I don't know if they have that skill set to talk to humans as humans. Going across the street and buying dollar beers at the bodega.
Brian lives in Cudahy, just so you
Okay,
know.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Don't be
Whoa.
smacking down on Brian
He's
coming
like,
from
"Don't
New
do it."
Berlin.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's the greatest gift I gave my kids to going to public school and the ability to to be there comfortably. Now there could be a robbery or these things, but bold statement in this day and age, could they not happen anywhere? The
And they
shooting
do.
or
They
the
do.
I mean, they've
Yeah.
happened downtown in what's supposed to be the safest place in
Sure.
Milwaukee, you know? So, I mean, they can happen anywhere. We have been fortunate where we haven't had any incidents. It's our fourth year. So,
Sure.
I think, and that's what I mean about, like, the respect that motorcycle people have. We don't typically have that kind of nonsense going on. You know what I
No.
mean? If we do, it ends quickly. So, I mean, we have kids around that day. You won't see any of that. You know, all of us want our kids to be safe. We are, like I said, we are not thugs. You
Yeah.
know, we just want to have a good time like everybody else, and people get to see that when we come out.
Well, it's funny because people were asking me about like, oh, I was thinking about Airbnb in my house, like during Harley Fest. Like, should I be worried about people destroying my house? And I was like, okay. I know motorcycle people seem to be like really dangerous, but basically, that is like a 1% of the 1% of people. I think motorcycle people are the most respectful,
Absolutely.
you know, generous, just, you know, great
Now there
people
are
to
some
be
crappy motorcycle people. I mean, but you have that in every social group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't speak for everybody. You know what I
No,
mean?
no.
In this community, so you're gonna have that everywhere you go.
Well, I feel like it's more prevalent in other
Yeah, I
other
believe so,
worlds,
too.
not this one.
Yeah.
So I feel like we laugh because we know because we're in it,
Yeah.
right? But for other people, they think it's just like this dangerous people with
Yeah.
with motorcycles and leather vests on, and just like it's got to be super scary. But
It
we're all just like
does.
having a great time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
other's
but I
company.
do think Biker Fest is using that to their advantage to create a safe space.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? There is maybe a prejudice with the neighborhood. It's like, whoa, it's Biker Fest. Let's be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
also we're
could
like,
be.
come on over. I
Yeah.
got dollar beers. And
Yeah,
they're
right,
like, oh,
right,
this
right.
is pretty cool. And the kids, are welcome.
Yeah, they have a great time.
Yep.
So I cut you off there. Now, Jade, I was asking, I just wanted to address the space of what it is. But what is happening? So what do you got planned for me? Give me the elevator sale.
The elevator sale. I don't know. It changes. It's not the same every time I do it. I haven't got that down packed. But I will say that we do. We have everything that every other festival has. We take over the Fondy Farmers Market, and it's a festival. It's state fair, but with motorcycles. You know
Whoa,
what I
bold
mean?
statement.
It's like Summerfest but with motorcycles. So I would say even better. Because all
Food
they have
and
is
drink.
food and music. We have motorcycles
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
And the stunt shows are super cool, and the bike races that you guys bring to Biker Fest makes the event. It makes it a huge success. I think people really love that fun element to it, and the fact that people can join in on that fun is what makes it cool.
And this year we're gonna have a ride-in motorcycle show.
Yeah, we have a ride-in every year. So I call it the people too ride-in because I say that motorcycle people that we're people too, and I use the TWO because we're on two wheels. But we're productive members of society. A lot of us we work every day. We own businesses. We have children. We go to church. Those things. People depend on us to make it home safely and all in one piece. So I think that ride is important to show people like that we're out here. And it helps us push our petition to that. We have a petition out there where we're asking for people to sign because we want some watch for motorcycle signs out here on the streets. I kind of look at Milwaukee like the city of motorcycles, so I don't see a reason why we don't already have these things in place. It's not like we're not out here. The numbers are increasing every year, and so are the motorcycle related deaths and accidents, and just overall accidents. I don't know what's happening with the streets of Milwaukee and these flipped over cars and these weird things that they're building in the street that I think is going to make it even worse. So I mean, it's things like that.
All right, that was a lot,
I'm
Jade. That was a
sorry.
lot to unpack.
No, that's good. No, that's good.
Because so now there's another element here. It's based on the core philosophy of bikers are people too. TWO. So recognize them, see them as humans, not as, because we dehumanize people all the time.
Not as thugs or a nuisance.
Sure. And then you're not the first person. In fact, you're probably every motorcycle rider we've had on here praises the riding in Milwaukee, how great it is to ride, or how biker friendly we are. In California, our guests or wherever, who am I thinking of? How they would say that how they'd get pulled over, or they'd be hassled by the police, or the
Is it for group riding or like individual?
No,
riding?
I don't know. I mean, I think the police here, I mean, this is something that we talk about all the time, is like the police here are very much like, it's almost like extra respect if you have a bike, not less.
Yes.
And I think you're more respected by the police here if you have a motorcycle. I think you get away with a little bit more than you would if you're in a car.
I see why though.
Yeah.
I definitely see why, because before I started like riding, I drove different. Now that I ride, if I see a biker, I know how to give them a little space. I know if they're doing something, I can understand a little bit more, and I have more tolerance and just patience for what's happening in front of me or around me. So I drive different. I drive for other people, and they always say like every biker goes down at some point. And one time I went down. It wasn't my fault, and that woke me up, because it's like it doesn't have to be your fault, so I definitely drive different and for other people, and I think bikers, we have to, because we face different dangers from people who drive in cars.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate that. You have a communal mindset.
oh
Yeah.
okay.
I got a couple of things I just want to go back on. About what we're doing at your event, if you will. We are having a mini bike race. We are
Yes.
having a summer series. And I just want to highlight why I like what we do with our mini bikes or our boonie bikes, is it is very accessible to people to join in. And we are very welcoming to, if you have anything that with a gas-powered motor on it, that's pull start, you're welcome to join. I'm not criticizing any other forms of racing, but I think many times they're inaccessible, and I can't relate to NASCAR or Formula One. Like it doesn't make sense to me, because it's so much money, and these people are professionals. I'm using extremes to just make my point. But also, in addition to our mini bike race, is we also have a Stasic race. Scott, what's a Stasic?
Right. Stasics are the little electric striders, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, so electric
The
for
electric
little
balance
kids.
bikes, yeah.
So we're gonna have 5 or 6 of those.
Sure,
Yeah.
that the community can use. We'll get some kids out there. It'll be
Yeah,
a hoot.
kids can come out and participate, not just spectate this year.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll have some. I think we have some extra helmets too. We can bring some
We
extra ones.
probably should bring extra helmets.
Yeah, right. No babies.
We're trying
kids.
to show these kids, like, yeah, here you go. Yeah, get out there, slugger. Have a good time.
Jade, what do you? We have our own stresses when we do events. I'm just curious, as a promoter, one promoter to another, what are you stressed out about?
Finding people, and then sharing your baby with other people. That's the hard part. I'm not good at delegating, so I'll take on the whole load. And it's tough. Like if you find people and they don't, not up to snuff, or they're in their feelings, and sometimes that keeps people from moving forward. Then I'll just take it back and I'm like, I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's probably.
You should have met Jeremy in 2018. I was a real motherfucker.
Yeah, talking about not giving up.
I would run the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's not. That sounds arrogant. Many people help me out.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people help me out.
You would fail miserably at trying to run it yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't mean it to say it's my mind thought I was running it
Running
myself,
it all
right?
yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's
luckily there was
the
enough.
delusion that I
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Because I've learned to show appreciation for the people that make it great. I used to think of them as being in the way or like you're not doing it right, and I needed to pause and do a serious recalibration
Yeah.
of my brain to see how great
And
our
realizing
staff
how
is.
many people were just wading in and taking responsibility
Yes.
without ever asking anyone. They were just grabbing a hold of it.
That, yeah,
And
and I
running with
love
it.
that. I've
Yeah.
experienced that at Biker Fest, and
Mhm.
that I think that's great when you have people
Super
that
helpful.
yeah, they see your vision and your mission, and they want to support you in
Mhm.
some way, and I love that.
I mean, I'm not trying to give advice or anything. I'm just relating it to my own struggle. And when
Mhm.
you're there at the event, by the way, May 27th, I don't know if we mentioned that.
No, we didn't.
We have to keep mentioning that.
I'm empowering you because I'm telling you this from experience, just from my experience. Maybe this is a little advicey. People want to help, right? And so if you're like, hey, I need you to please hang those banners for
Yeah.
me, for example.
Yeah.
Generally, people want to do that, right? They want to see it through. They want to feel they're included in what you
Involved.
have going on. They want to
Yeah.
feel involved. Instead of hang those banners and then they're like, what banners? And then you're like, ah, forget it, I got it.
Yeah.
Which is what I used to do.
Yeah. And that is me,
Okay.
and I'm learning
Yes.
to offhand some of that stuff. It's hard,
Yeah.
It's really tough.
Because they'll say like, you're like, these banners, and then like, okay, well, where's the tape and the zip ties? You're just like, and then
Never
you like give it to
mind.
them,
Yeah,
and then you're just
yeah.
like, and they're like, okay, now where do you want me to put them? Like, how high? Do you want them high? Do you want them low? And you're just standing there with them, and you're just like, oh, I just couldn't have done this myself.
Yeah, I could have did it myself. And I don't like to micromanage either.
No.
So if I give it to you and then it's not quite right, I do cringe a little, and it's like, but it's help. So it's
Yeah.
like, just,
So you're most nervous
yeah.
about the day of the stresses of the day of. Is that what you're saying?
no, I think the most stressful part is like leading up to. Like once the day is there, it's kind of like just you
Yeah,
got to get
it's-
it done, regardless of what happens. Just you got to get it done. And one thing I'm learning is that nobody but you knows what it's supposed to look like. You know what I mean? They're having a good time.
That's a good point.
And they don't know that this was supposed to happen and this didn't come in.
That's
They
a
have
really good
no
point,
concept
yeah.
and no clue. I'm stressed out, but I'm like, it didn't come and this didn't happen and blah. But they're like, this is great. I'm like, okay, So
Sure.
you have to let that go and just let people have a good time. If they notice something, then you deal with that. But outside of that, they have no clue.
That's a really good point that I often forget about, is that people don't know what it's supposed to
have
look
no
like or
idea.
what your vision is.
Yeah.
They're just having a great time.
Yep.
They didn't realize that the
you
100-foot
over
ice
there
cream cone
flipping
didn't show up.
They have no clue. They didn't
Yeah.
know it was supposed to be there.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? It'd have been great if it was.
Or the
but
slip
they
and
have no
slide,
clue.
or
Nothing.
Yeah, but I want to zoom in a little bit. Let's pretend that the 100-foot ice cream cone didn't show up, and then the whole time during the event, you as the leader, Scott, for example, Scott, how's it going? It's fine, except the stupid ice cream cone didn't show up, and you yourself are sabotaging your own event. I only say that to
I've
highlight
been
because
there.
that was me.
I have been there.
And so don't be like this,
Yeah.
Jade. Be positive
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that you're not,
Mm-hmm.
but I like you have to. We as event organizers have to be more patient with people that they do not see our brain. We're not
Yeah.
properly articulating the vision that we see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And not everybody can see, just from you explaining what's going on. Not everybody can see that. Like I can visualize, but there's a lot of people that they can't do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we're just not clear.
That's
with
that
you know,
can
it's
happen.
I got to bring it back to myself. What I can do better.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I wanted to add that the ride-in bike show is we're gonna select one of the motorcycles that shows up there to be in Mom Tried in,
Oh, nice.
in 2024. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
So wanted to throw that out there for the audience at home. So if you bring your bike and if you haven't been to Mama Tried before, and we did it in Sturgis, the ride-in bike show. We were going to give 3 invitations. We ended up giving, I think, 10 or 12. So if there's more than one cool bike, we'll be giving out more than one invitation. But that's one of the prizes for the bikes that show
I
up.
love it. Now,
Yeah.
how often do you guys? I'm switching the interview now. You're on. So how many do you guys typically invite? Like how many people do you typically invite?
100.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
most of them come in by submissions and then stuff that we see on the street. Like I think last year, I think at Biker Fest, we actually invited 2 or 3 people that were just random, just walked up to them like, your bike's cool.
Yeah.
But I think that they didn't really understand what it was that they were being invited to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think now we'll have a show that like, this is the area for the show, and you'll have like a little handlebar tag, and it'll show that like, this is what your name is and what kind of bike it is and blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
then make it a little bit more like legitimate, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
you
I
gotta
think
educate folks. They don't know.
exactly, and that goes back to what you were saying about like people don't understand what you have in your head, right?
Yeah.
Like we've all been to 100 motorcycle shows. We understand how these things work, but for the person who's just walking up or their first time, they don't know that that's just like a thing that you just
Yeah.
roll it into this area and then so yeah.
Yeah, you gotta explain.
Yeah.
Well, Mama Tried itself was unique to me in that you don't have awards per se, and it's also not, you just don't ride into it. Most shows, when you say motorcycle show, I'm saying globally, are everybody comes to the park with their motorcycle,
Right.
and that's the show.
Right.
Mama Tried is different in that it's curated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Many
it's
other shows are curated.
invitational.
But that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
fairly new phenomenon. Am I wrong?
I mean, no, not it's not new. It's just it's a little bit more rare because it requires like sort of I guess.
Yeah.
It just depends, really.
Well, how I describe it to people is I say it's a really cool sort of motorcycle museum. Is sort of how.
All right.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
I'm like, but it's kind of like a party at the same time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
So that's how I explain it. I don't know if that's right.
No, I think that, yeah.
That's fair. Okay.
like we were saying before, it is what people think it is,
Yeah.
what their perception of it is. So,
yeah.
And that it's like you can put together the party that you think you're putting together, but actually, what kind of party it is really depends on what
Yeah.
people see when they come walking in.
They're gonna call it whatever they want to
Yeah,
call it.
exactly.
Yeah.
They're gonna have the time that they want to have.
Yeah.
So,
I have, on that note, by the way, I only have 2 things, by the way. How are we doing on time? Okay.
There.
Okay, we're good. Okay, so 2 things. I want to, using that example of how an event comes out or plays out. We started this discussion by Scott trying to have you explain our world, or your world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, hey, that might be difficult for you because your world is hard to explain because it's what you know.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this for arrogance sake, but tell us more what you see in our world. What do you think of this white chopper world?
Well, when you say white chopper world, what do you mean like Harley events? Or do you
I don't
mean
know.
like,
I'm gonna
No.
leave it open ended.
like
no,
Flat track,
like the Mama
like-
Tried Flat Out Friday
flat
world.
out.
Sure.
Okay.
Us specifically.
Okay. I mean,
Is that what you were going for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And it doesn't. And this is not fishing for compliments.
I'm not
This is-
fishing for
this is-
compliments.
no,
I think
there's
it's funny.
Plenty of room for. There's plenty of room
Well, I'm
for.
gonna be honest. That's
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
that's what we're looking
Critique,
for.
is that
my
right?
curse and my gift. So like, what I see is it really is the same as like any other like black event. You know what I mean? Like you guys come together and do when we go out to like the flat tracking thing. It's kind of like Raceway when we go out there for Larry's Fun Fest. That everybody calls Black Sunday. So to me, it's the same. But as far as like Flat Out Friday, I love it. I love the smell of it. I love the roar of the engines and all of that, the racing. I love how fun it is. I love that it's, I guess the thing that I like about Flat Out Friday is it's got that intergenerational
Okay.
element to it. So you have 4-year-olds and 80-year-olds in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
space hanging out and partying together.
Mhm.
So I love that, and I try to bring that to Biker Fest.
Yeah.
I think that makes a difference when you have. I mean, because people can learn from each other. You put those type of people in the same spaces, and it's safe too. That makes it safe, you know. So I like that. As far as Mama Tried show, I like it because you meet all types of different people, and because they're not all of these people, it's their bike, so they're not necessarily the person who built it, but they might have had like, they might have parts in it. You know what I mean?
their heart's in it.
Their heart is in it. They chose this part. They did this for whatever reason. They like this bike for whatever reason, and they come up to you and they see you admiring their bike, and they come up to you and they talk to you, and they're like, I met a few people. Dale Battle, who is coming to Biker Fest, he's a custom builder, but I mean, I met him at Mama Tried. I mean, you meet some really cool people. It's a place where you can kind of party. You can talk to people. You meet. You see a lot of different like cool products, motorcycle products. I saw a guy, and I don't even remember the name of it was a new bike, new manufacturer. Hadn't really been out for like 5 years or so. I mean, really cool bikes. They look like old track bikes. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun to me.
I'm taking that as a gleaming compliment only because that's the mission statement of both parties. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm glad
So
that mission
yeah,
statement was
the talking,
Yeah.
the talking to builders part. That's the thing, is like getting people together, talking. That's the best part.
Yeah.
And I think that happens at Biker Fest too, because you'll walk up to a bike and you'll be standing there looking at it, admiring it, and then someone will come up like, "What's up?"
Yeah. Because they're like, "Yeah, you like
They're
my
like,
bike."
"Yeah, you like it." Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that pride, and then they'd be like,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, "How'd you do this?" Or like, "Where'd you get that?" I love that stuff.
I mean, I've done that. I've had people walk up and ask me questions. I ask them questions. I think it's a cool thing, and just to meet different people.
Yep.
I think going a little bit deeper here, and I'm almost done. I said I was almost done, but this is so easy. Us getting together interracially and talking about motorcycles, if you will, because even you said it's just like our events. The language is the same.
Yeah.
You've used this before. When I go and I see a motorcycle, the language is the same about how we ride, but yet it is rather difficult. You know what I'm saying? We are still extremely segregated, but it's easy when you zoom in, isn't it? That's not a question. That's just an observation that I made.
Absolutely.
Listening to you talk, and I appreciate that. I would thought I kind of had my toes cringed. I was waiting for you to be like, why do they do this?
No,
But I appreciate that you hear that you see
yeah.
the fun and that you appreciate it. All right, here's my final thing. We talked a lot about Biker Fest, and I want to just be really clear.
Which is on May 27th.
May
May 27th. And
Saturday,
I want
May
to be absolutely
27th.
clear, as with time, is I want you to use this format to tell us the timeline of the day, right? Does that make sense?
Okay. I remember.
So it's May 27th.
Saturday, May 27th.
Saturday, May 27th. So the ride-in the event starts at 1:00. The ride-in typically comes in about 1:30-ish.
How do I get in the ride-in?
Where does the ride start?
The ride starts at Milwaukee Cycle. That's right off of Silver Spring. And
what time is that?
You meet up there at 11:30. Kickstands are up at noon.
Okay.
All right.
And you have to register for that? Or,
you do and you don't. You can just show up. A lot of people just show up, but we ask that you register, so we know who you are and we can communicate with you and let you know when we have other rides and things like that going on.
And all of this, so we have a lot more to talk about, but this already can be found where? Where can I get this registration?
You can get it on our website. You can also which is bikerfestmke.org. We're also on Facebook. Our handle is bikerfestmke. Instagram, you can get it there in our link tree to register for the ride, and also on Eventbrite.
All right. So the ride comes in, leaves north part of the city, comes down to the central part of the city around 1. You mentioned stunt bikes. Who's stunting?
We're using twin stunts this year. They're really cool. They're twins, obviously.
I didn't know. I thought it assumed motor.
Yeah,
right?
me. I thought they were just doing it with the
it's
twins.
Two guys and they're twins. And they do some really cool stuff. I'm not sure what they're bringing this time.
Okay.
I don't want to say. So you guys got to show up to see. But it's a really cool show. There are 3 stunt shows that day. So once the riding comes in, that's when the party kind of kicks off, when the bikers get there. The mayor will be there.
All right.
Talking to the people. And then we have the mini bike races.
We do?
And
3
the
of them?
basic races with the kids.
Yeah. Music and food?
Music, we have food, we have performances by the Stone Jam Band. So you guys come check that out.
What time is that? Ish.
I think it was like 3 o'clock. I have to look at the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My brain is a little
No,
on the
that's
dry
okay.
side.
That's
yeah.
okay. We're a week out. Yeah.
Yeah, we're a
You,
week out. My
you're
brain is
allowed.
like,
You're allowed.
yeah,
Yeah.
it won't stop. It's just rock and roll, rock and roll. So, yeah.
All right. So that sets the scene for the day with the 1 to what? To 9?
1 to 9 p.m. So usually breakdown is about 8 o'clock. So
Okay.
yeah, by that time we're kind of breaking the event down and getting up out of there.
Is there an after party?
There is not an
Okay,
after
well,
party
all right,
this
well,
year. We
you just
did
don't want-
last year, but not this year.
Yeah. Is there maybe going to be one in develop in the meantime, and it'll be like
It's
I think
possible.
word of
bold
mouth
statement,
passed
Scott. I
around.
think you are now post-party manager.
We could. There's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
at the Twisters.
it's possible.
Okay.
It's possible. Or Mr. B's.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Jade. Thanks for talking
Yeah,
about
Thank
Jade.
you
Thanks
guys
for
for having
coming.
me.
difficult
Really great.
topics. And thanks for curating Biker Fest. I cut you off there, Scott. What were you saying?
No, thanks for coming in and hanging out and talking to us on camera. We always hang out
Yeah. I appreciate
at
you guys
Lefts
having me.
and just shooting the shit and doing
Yeah.
and doing event planning and I don't know. It's not commiserating. What do you just talking about
Yeah. Just hanging
event
out.
planning stuff. So it's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming and doing it on
Right.
camera.
Thank you guys.
All right.